Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. So in today's video, I'm going to be using some scraps from the Midnight Garden paper pad from Funky Fossil Designs, and we're going to be using Gilding Flakes with double-sided sticky sheets or double-sided adhesive sheets. Recently I made a video using Gilding Flakes and tacky glue, and somebody asked in the comments, can they be used with double-sided sheets? Well, I'd never tried it and I gave it a go, and yes they can. So first of all, I've cut a double-sided sheet down just slightly bigger than my card blank, which today I'm using an A6 size card, so it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/4. And I've just got some scraps of cardstock from the Midnight Garden paper pad that I've trimmed down into strips. And I'm just going to line them up across the panel diagonally. Now, if you like perfect spacing, you could use a ruler to measure. You could perhaps line it up on your glass mat or on a grid mat. But I don't mind having them unevenly spaced. None of my strips are evenly cut, so I kind of like it like that. And of course, when you're using up your scraps, you don't necessarily always have perfect size strips anyway. So it's kind of nice to use what you've got and not worry too much about exact spacing. So I'm just trimming off the excess there with my Tim Holtz long bladed scissors, because then I'll have a few smaller strips to use just to finish off the bottom of that panel. I'm just pulling out a few more scraps from the paper pad just so that I've got a few more strips to use. And then once that's completely covered, we'll just trim off the excess and then we can start using the Gilding Flakes. So today I'm going to be using a new box of Gilding Flakes. These are called Manchester Tart. They're from IndigoBlu. Sadly, some of their coloured flakes have been discontinued, so you'll have to check out their website to see which ones they're still stocking. But also some of the stockists do still have some of these in stock, so I'll link as many products as I can in the description box below. So all I'm doing now is picking out the different flakes and just sticking them down to the double-sided adhesive bits. I'm picking out the different colours because I want an even spacing of the gold, the silver and the rose gold. And I think these colours work beautifully together, especially as there's kind of gold elements to the papers that I've used. So all I'm doing is just rubbing those in with my fingers, making sure that all the sticky bits are covered with the flakes. I'm making sure that any kind of larger excess bits are rubbed off with my fingers. And then once I've managed to do all of that, we'll be able to then bring in the Scoochy to help smooth it over. It's always really helpful when you're working with Gilding Flakes to work on a scrap piece of paper or something that you can easily get the excess bits back into the pot from. So now I'm coming in with the Scoochy. This is just an abrasive foam, and I'm just rubbing off any of the excess bits that are left. And then you can see you get this beautiful shimmery metallic effect. So now we've got our background made, let's turn it into a card. So I'm going to use this Love and stamp set from Funky Fossil Designs. It's got some really lovely sentiments and ampersands in, but all I want from it today is that word hugs. I'm also going to be using the corresponding die set. And again, I don't think many stockists have got that left, but I will link it in the description box if I can find it. So I'm taking that hug stamp and I've got some navy blue cardstock. I'm just going to use my anti-static powder bag, and then I'm going to ink it up with some WOW embossing ink. And then once I've stamped that out, I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of cardstock and I'm going to use metallic gold rich Superfine embossing powder from WOW. I find the Superfine ideal for capturing fine detail in sentiments. So I'll just put the excess back in the pot and then we'll just heat set that with my heat tool. Once that's melted and heat set, I'm just going to bring in my mini Tim Holtz trimmer and I'm just going to trim off the excess blue cardstock, and I'll pop that back in my scraps pile, and then I'll just trim down the sentiments so that it's got a nice even border. And it's really easy to do that on the smaller Tim Holtz trimmer. You've got a little bit more control of how you can trim down the sentiments. So yeah, I found that really useful. So next I'm going to bring in these ampersands. So I've got two already die cut, one in glitter cardstock and one in rose gold metallic cardstock. These are from the Sizzix Opulent cardstock paper pad. That's where these coloured cardstocks come from. I've got my card blank, and then I've got two matte layers, one in the gold and one in the navy blue. And I'm going to use the Cosmic Shimmer quick grab glue for this, because I do find if you use Collall on metallic cardstock, if it oozes out at all, it can strip the coating off. So it's always best to stick with a water-based glue when attaching to metallic cardstock. So next I want to glue these two ampersands together. I'm going to slightly offset them so that the metallic gold looks like a shadow of the glitter cardstock basically. So I'm just going to again use the Cosmic Shimmer glue. I'm just going to add some glue to the back of that and then just slightly offset them when I glue them together. And then once they're stuck together, I'll add some glue to the back of that ampersand and attach the whole thing down to the card front. I'm being careful not to use too much glue so that it doesn't ooze out the side. And then I do just bring in my T-ruler just to help me make sure that it's a little bit level at the bottom. I straightened it up because the wet glue hadn't just quite dried. And then I'm able to add a little bit of glue to the back of the Love Sentiment die. Now, of course, you could have used double-sided sheets on this as well when you die cut it. That makes it a little bit less fiddly. I don't mind using liquid glue, especially if you've got a fine tip glue bottle. It's actually quite easy just to add a little bit of glue to the back of that. But yeah, you could use double-sided adhesive sheets. I've got a foam pad to pop on the back of that Hugs sentiment. And then I'm just going to attach the whole thing down to the card base using Collall glue. Because this is on the back of the metallic cardstock, so I'm not risking any of it oozing out. And so there's the finished card for today. As always, I'll add some close-up pictures at the end of this video, and as many products as possible will be linked in the description box below. Please let me know if you've enjoyed this video in the comments, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, especially if you'd like to see more videos from my channel. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.